We are here at our coaches show this week. We're going to shoot it live for you. We will have obviously the LE coach, Texas High coach, and finish with Josh Gibson. Barry Norton may join us later. We just wanted to bring something a little different than what we normally do. And Coach King, we're happy to have you here. How's your week been?
It's been really good. The kids are working hard, staying upbeat, and I'm excited. I'm excited about tomorrow night.
3 weeks in, you have 2 rivalry games underneath your belt already. What's your game plan against this Texas High team?
Oh yeah, it's fun always having rivalry games, and being multiple weeks here at the beginning of the season, it's been interesting, most definitely. So we're the only school in town that actually plays everybody that's in town, and so that's kind of an interesting dynamic.
Yeah, I didn't think about that. Yeah.
It's been a fun week. It's been a good week. We've had a good week of practice, and kids have been sharp, and I think they understand the plan and what our focus is, and so I'm excited to get out there and play.
And they have you've had some tough experience so far this year for these young kids, but it's got to be growing your football team. I mean, you have a young team.
Yeah, we're extremely young. Up front, on both sides of the ball, we're extremely young. Even in the back end, we're extremely young. We got a lot of guys that don't have any Friday night experience until this year. And so that's something, there's going to be growing pains that go along with that, and them understanding the caliber of football that we need to play to be a championship football team. And that's something that, getting this experience early in the year, it's going to teach them where we want to be at the end of the year and what kind of football it takes to play at an extremely high championship level.
Great. We know you're bringing that culture.
You guys are coming off a really tough loss against one of the best teams in the state of Texas in Carthage. Those guys have a really huge offensive line. I did watch some of the game footage on it, and your defensive line played really well. Going against guys of that caliber, is that going to make them better going into this week's game where they won't face quite as big of an offensive line?
Yeah, most definitely. Anytime you play an extremely good football team like that, it gives you good experience and understanding, again, just how good you have to be and how on point you have to be with your fundamentals in order to be able to do what your job is. And I was proud of us at times, and then I was disappointed at times in things that we did and making sure that every single play we play with championship effort and championship technique, and something that we're growing into, and we will get to. But we played really well at times and not so well at times, and so that's something you can always build on, the good things that you've done throughout these games.
I noticed that Parker Goodman was able to connect with Corbin White again for a touchdown. When guys make plays like that, is that what you like to see, to tell the other kids if they stick within the scheme, we can make plays and stuff like that going forward?
Oh yeah, most definitely. Corbin White's a great athlete, and he's a great kid, and something that I'm excited to see his development throughout the season, and something that he's a little overlooked right now, but I'm sure by the end of the season everybody will know who he is. But he's a great kid, and most definitely, he's an example of, if you come to work every single day and you go to work and you disciplined in what you do and focus on the fundamentals, how good of a football player that you can be and what it takes to be a good football player.
Absolutely.
So there were some bright spots for you tonight. He mentioned the touchdown. Your defensive line, Nick Latham had a huge hit on the running back. Ethan Brooks had a sack and a forced fumble. We had some really bright spots in that game. And we kind of talked a little bit about, how you're going to build on that going forward. But against this Texas High team, give us your playbook.
Yeah. I don't know about giving you the playbook. Coach Stanford's standing right over there.
Yeah, you can't see it. Coach Stanford is right there.
Yeah. But I'm excited to see our kids get out there and compete, and it's another chance for us to line up against somebody else that's not us in practice and get out there and compete. And I really do. I want us to focus on fundamentals and what it takes to continue to get better week after week, and that's something that we focus on with our kids all the time, and something that I'm excited to see us get out and compete, and hopefully we can fix some of the things that we screwed up last week, and take advantage of some of the things that we've seen on film. And so I'm excited to see our kids compete, most definitely.
That's great. Coach, we wish you the best of luck this week. I'm telling y'all, LE is on the rise. Man, there are great things coming. He won't say it, but I'm telling you, there's great things coming. He's not a guy that toots his own horn. But, man, I'm excited for your program. I'm excited what you're doing over there. I'm just can't find anything bad to say about it. And we're proud of you and looking forward to great things.
Thank you. I'm glad to be here, working for such a great school district with great administration that, everything that they do is first class, and, nobody has higher expectations for this program than me. And it's going to be a process, but we're going to get it to where we want it to be, and I'm excited about what we have coming in the future.
Right.
Definitely keep them playing fast over there.
Yes, most definitely.
Well, let's take it to commercial break, and we'll be right back with Jerry Stanford.
Find yourself in need of emergency care, come see us at Texarkana Emergency Center. We're open 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, 365 days a year. We are locally owned with board-certified physicians for all your emergencies. We accept all private insurance. At Texarkana Emergency Center, we have on-site lab, pharmacy, x-ray, ultrasound, and CT. Come see us at Texarkana Emergency Center. Real ER without the wait. The next generation of emergency care.
We are back. We got Texas High head coach Jerry Stanford coming off a huge win in a rivalry game against Arkansas High. I just asked him. He said he must have slept good this weekend. He's telling me he didn't, but I find it hard to believe.
It's just that time of year we get a lot going on.
So you had a lot of bright spots the other night. You had a player of the week in Tracy Cooper. Defense only allowed 7 points. You got to be happy.
Yeah, real excited about what Tracy was able to accomplish the last couple of weeks, and I think the offensive line's obviously playing a big role into that. But Tracy's done his part in the offseason and just had a tremendous summer, a tremendous offseason, and did a great job in track. And I think he set himself up to be successful this year. And I think the offensive line has done a tremendous job getting better each and every week.
Man, that offensive line gets a big push off the line of scrimmage.
They're doing a great job. I think it'll be a big test this week versus Liberty Ilo, and as we move into district. And then defensively, I couldn't be more happy than where we are right now, holding Arkansas to less than 100 yards of offense and 7 points in this day and time. That's just hard to do, particularly against explosive kids like they've got. And very talented kids.
I did not realize it was under 100 yards. Man, that's awesome.
Right at 98 yards of offense.
Man, you gotta be ecstatic with that.
We were really pleased with that.
I'm happy for you.
You've got to feel really good as a coach to have your team hitting on all cylinders with the running Tracy Cooper in the backfield, your offensive line playing good. Even got some guys on defense making plays, and even on special teams, you guys had a block punt by Tristan Whitehead. How's that feel to see your team playing good like that?
That's really good, particularly in a rivalry game like that. Emotions are high. Kids are at a little bit different level mentally coming in, so you're not exactly sure as a coach where they are. But really pleased with our effort as much as anything. I think that's carrying us a long ways right now. We know it's a long season ahead of us, and so just to keep continuing to getting better.
Man, I enjoyed watching you on the sideline the other night. I could feel intensity from 40 yards away. It was neat to see. As I get to know you a little bit better, I know you're kind of quiet, but, man, I saw it come out Friday night.
Yeah, Friday's a little different for coaches. You try to stay as calm and collective in the moment, but there are times where things go a little bit different.
I'm just looking down at this Billy Lavender. I know he's watching. He's got his Arkansas Razorback over here, but he does say you're the GOAT.
I appreciate it.
Did you see Coach Norton make fun of him the other night?
I did.
That was so funny. Well, Razorback Billy, hope you have a good day. But, man, your defense, 98 yards. I was already impressed with him. 98 yards, big interception. And number 20, he plays both ways, right?
Number
20. I saw him. He got an interception.
Interception was 22.
Okay, my bad.
And he practices both ways. I don't know that he's played much both ways. Clayton plays both ways quite a bit. Number 20, the linebacker, plays both ways. He plays running back and linebacker. Came in at the end and carried the load the last part of the game.
Big kid.
Big kid, does a really good job. Young kid. Another one of our juniors that starts for us, but helps both ways out right there.
One thing I noticed about Tracy, and we were talking about the sideline, is he waits on. He's patient. Waits on his blocks. He doesn't run lateral a lot. He is just waits, and he is just up and down. And that's all coaching. I
think he's grown up. He started as a sophomore for us, and then last year, early on in the season, had a pretty good start, but then got banged up a little bit. I think his just growth in the position, a lot of it, as much as anything over the last couple of years.
Yeah. How do you plan on utilizing Clayton Smith this week with all his talents?
Kind of the same. Clayton does a lot of good things for us on both sides of the ball. Does a great job in practice. Kind of a situational player for us on offense, obviously a mainstay on defense. But we'll continue to increase that role as the year goes along and as he gets in better and better shape.
How does it feel to, like we all know in football, depth is very important when you have a football team. How does it feel to have your underclassmen and some of the younger players that come in and sub, making plays and playing well?
Really good. And, the last couple of weeks we've been able to play about 27 underclassmen in the game. And that, for depth purposes and future purposes, has been it's going to be critical for us over the next couple of years. And then tonight, we kick off kind of our JV season, and the freshmen and the JV will play Liberty Ilo. So it's going to be exciting to see them get out there for their first game and kind of see what those young guys can do and are ready and capable to do.
That's great, man. Well, Coach, we're excited for you this week. Wish you the best of luck. Really enjoyed being at the game the other night. Man. It was fun just watching you and Barry and winning in class, and all your kids acted professional the way you drew it up. I mean, it was a fun environment.
That was really one of the great parts of the game, is at the end you see all the players come together. Didn't matter what side they were from, they all congratulated each other, so it was really nice to see.
No, but Coach Norton and I have a high respect for each other, and our kids have a high respect for each other, and I think the game was played in sorts. There wasn't a whole lot of extracurricular after the play. There wasn't a lot of the extra things going on. I think the game was played the way the game should be played, in a highly motivated, highly expected game, and a lot of respect from both sides.
It's definitely a reflection of both of the coaches.
Yeah, I think so as well. We appreciate you coming on.
Yeah,
I know you're a busy man. Let's go back to commercial break, and then we will come back with Pleasant Grove's coach, Josh Gibson.
Beautiful, isn't it? Beautiful, handcrafted stone is our passion, and we ensure our customers receive the quality they deserve. We stand by our word. We stand by our products, services, and work that we do. Our team of experienced craftsmen and product experts have been perfecting their craft of fabricating and installing stone since 1998. Visit the Design Center at Red River Lumber to see the many beautiful stone options available for your next project.
A strong work ethic takes pride in a job well done. This is the kind of person you need. Express Employment Professionals can help, because we understand what it takes to hire good people. It takes real people, real interviews. We find good people, matching the right skills for the right jobs. Express knows jobs. Get to know Express. Go to expresspros.com to find a location near you.
Is your business the best that it can be? Let us take it to the next level with our wide range of professional services.
Media management, digital marketing,
Promotional items,
Geofencing,
artwork, and videography.
let us help you be seen. We are
TXK Marketing.
We are TXK Marketing. We are back. We have the #1 ranked high school football team in the state of Texas in 4A. The man, Josh Gibson, is in the house.
How are you guys doing?
Man, doing good. I told everybody you were going to blow Henderson out. Nobody believed me.
That was a good game. It was a really good game.
Well, man, I saw Ben pass for 105 yards and a touchdown. Sergio, I got to meet him the other day randomly in Chick-fil-A. I saw he had a huge game. And, man, you had something really exciting happen yesterday.
Yeah, we did. That's probably one of the coolest things is Tori. Tori came over at the beginning of June. Mom got a job at the hospital. He's kind of trying to find a place to live, and he visited Liberty Iowa was looking over there, visit our school, and about 3 weeks later, we just thought maybe this kid's not moving into Texarkana. He comes back at the beginning of July and says, hey, we got an apartment down the road, and Mom starts her job in a week, and I'll start coming to workouts. And the first thing he goes to when he gets there the next week is a basketball tournament, and he's 6'5.5", 275 pounds, and he drops 35 points in one of the games. And our basketball coach is like, he is a freak athlete, and he's just so big.
Yeah.
So we were hoping that he would help us in football too, and it's been really neat to watch him grow in 5 weeks, how much more physical he's become, and he still has to become a lot more physical football player. But it was enough on video for them to see size, speed, and potential. And they called yesterday, Coach Traylor, associate head coach, and just said, man, what type of kid is he? I mean, he's just like, he's an awesome kid. His teachers love him. And we check on the kids' grades and communicate with teachers. Every coach is assigned a kid, and he has 2 coaches assigned to him since he's new, and you just get nothing but great feedback. And so then he makes the phone call to Coach Traylor after we talk about it and gets the offer, and he man, just so much respect and gratitude in that conversation for him. And he gets done, and he's so excited, and big dude, and just comes over and gives you a hug, and that makes you feel special. And then I looked at him, I said, you want to call your mom now and let her know what happened? And his lips started kind of quivering, his cheek, and I was like, that's the cool thing. You get to see that and see how much it impacts him, and his family. And, these educations cost over $100,000 now, and if he does his part, he won't ever have to pay $1. And that's a special day yesterday for him. And I know you got to get on another question, but the coolest thing was we brought all the 9th grade and JV kids in the locker room and talked about them. And as he's walking up, they'd already seen it posted, and they're just clapping for him and going nuts, and give him a chance to talk to them and express gratitude to his teammates and tell him what type of player he's going to be and how hard he's going to be working to keep sharpening up. And then we in middle school practice, and we've got all of our coaches over there, and he gets to talk to the middle school kids, so they get to see somebody, how it works out. And his brother's on our middle school team, and that was a neat moment too. So,
oh man, that's a day he'll never forget.
No, he won't. He won't.
First offer from the University of Arkansas. Man, you're putting in a lot of work. You got offers coming in for a lot of these kids. You just sit on the phone all day? Because it's not as easy as them just calling. I promise you.
No, yeah, and I think early on is really, really hard when I just became a head coach, especially out here. I'd been in the Metroplex and had a lot of connections with guys that recruit the Metroplex for a decade. And then coming out here, there's a different crew of guys that recruit East Texas. It's a different area. And so you have to establish some credibility. And then once you have a few kids and you deal with coaches the right way and you respond to them, I think that then the trust happens. And so Coach Traylor literally said yesterday, he said, I'm going to offer him based on your recommendation if you say he's ready right now. And I said, he's a great kid. He's a good enough athlete to play there, and we're going to get him playing harder. And that means a lot to me because I think Coach Traylor, he's a former high school coach, and he's come to a lot of our practices and seen our sessions. I think he trusts us. And so that was big for us too. And I love building relationships with those guys because of what it can do for your players. But then that's what they do for a living, and it's just neat connecting with them over and over again, whether you got kids for them that year or not.
Yeah. Well, I mean, speaking of having great kids for these colleges, Landon Jackson was our back-to-back defensive MVP, week 1 and week 2. He's trending to get like 40 sacks on the season. Freaking nuts.
Yeah.
He'll break all kinds of records at this pace.
And you say freaking nuts, and the first part of that first word is freak. And that's what he is. He's out there. He's a 6'6" kid that weighs 242 pounds, and he can run like a skilled kid. His range is off the charts. He can move laterally. And I think the coolest thing is what our defensive coaches have done with 2 different packages to really keep people off balance. He will line up at DN some, and he'll play outside backer. And so a variety of blitz packages and different ways to attack where they can't just go, hey, we're going to double team Landon Jackson and free him up, and then get some other kids and make some plays too within those packages. But he's growing. He's growing as a kid, emotionally, and his football game's growing, and it's important to him, and he wants to get his craft right so that he can keep doing that when he gets to the next level.
Oh, yeah.
And he's not just taking things for granted, and I think that's why he's having some big nights.
And, Marcus Burris, I mean, I've noticed this. They're just running away from him. It looks like nobody's attacking him. And then with Weekly in there, I mean, it's just y'all have a really good defensive scheme. Just watching what we see. I mean, coaches have to be like when they're playing, like, ugh, there's nowhere good to go.
Yeah,
and it's like pick your poison.
And the first part of defense working out, you got to have some dudes up there, and we've got a lot of dudes. So, I think even our defensive coordinator will say, all right, we've got the tools. Let's not screw this thing up. But then he puts so much on his plate to put them in positions where they can make plays. And, there was a period for almost 3 quarters that a state-ranked team in the division above us didn't get a first down. And so, yeah, there's some good football players there, but high school players will play high and they'll play lazy if you let them get away with it. And they don't get to go anything less than full tilt. All of our coaches coach them that way. So there are a lot of dudes up there, and then I think they're buying in and they're playing hard, and it's pretty special to watch.
148 total yards is what Henderson had. A ranked team in 4A Division I had 148 total yards. I mean, that is like not only great playing, that is great scheming and coaching.
Well, and then the guys behind them, everybody looks at those big guys and they go, yeah, you got some freaks up there, but it takes a half second to get a ball off on a 70-yard fade. And they put that Division I, safety receiver out there and had a kid who could throw the ball out there, and Riley Derman, he catches a ball and Riley strips it, and so they call it incomplete, and it could have been ruled a fumble, but he makes a play on the ball. Then Riley gets an interception, and when you're holding a team to 148 points, or yards, I'm sorry.
I'm about to say,
you're not doing a good job. You're going to get fired. No, when you're holding a team to 148 yards, you got 11 guys playing really, really good football, and the guys behind them are going to get picked on if they're not doing their job. So somebody asked the other day who's playing well, and you hold a state-ranked team to that amount of yards. It's 11 guys, and they're all playing hard, and they're doing it together within our scheme.
I've had multiple people tell me Riley had a huge game.
That's the key to it. If you've got a great defensive line, it just makes it better at each level. After that, you've got the guys up front making plays, but then you have guys like Riley had a couple pass breakups. You got guys also making tackles like Cameron Weekly and stuff like that. You're going to need those plays because I was looking at some highlights for Atlanta this week. They've got some playmakers at running back and wide receiver.
All the time, they do. And they've got kids that can fly that, every year. Even the last year in 4A, the year before last, they win state in track. They win it the year before that. They're just so fast. And LE and both of those guys would go to state in the relays, and it's a thing of beauty. You go to the district track meets, and we're getting run off on, but you got to look over there and you got to go, man, that's awesome what they have going on there. And they get to put those kids out on the football field, and those guys are good football players too. They're not just good tracksters. They can run the football. They had a ton of rushing yards against us last year, and we're hoping to contain them better this year.
I think – go ahead.
Well, I was at a – I live right outside Queen City. I was in Queen City the other day, and this guy recognized me, and he said, you're a game day guy, right? I said, yeah. He said, I'm telling you, PG needs to watch out for Atlanta. He said, I'm calling it right now. And I was like, man, have you seen PG play in person? He was like, no. I said, dude, they are nasty. But he went on and on about their running back and the athletes they have, and they are difficult to contain. There's one guy that doesn't have you picked.
Yeah, and I'm sure a lot of guys in their field house don't either. They're a tradition-rich program. They've won state titles. They've gone several rounds in the playoffs the last 5 years. I think they've gone past 3 rounds and possibly 4 rounds 3 different times in the last 5 years. They're a good football team, and so it's just like the first 2. You can't take them lightly. You're going to get their best shot. You're going to be in a war, and it's going to be a good football game.
2 of the better athletes that I watched on film was Caleb Hamilton, the running back, and the receiver, Terrante Neal. Those guys are both fast and elusive. Is that something that you guys have kind of game planned on this week?
Yeah, you got to contain their speed because, like we saw in the Paris game, that first drive, one play and you're not in the right spot, and they're going to make you pay for it. And these guys will do the same thing. So getting 11 kids, not just 3 or 4, getting 11 guys playing sound defense, playing with gap integrity, and playing full tilt. We got to match speed with speed and play as fast as we can and play physical against those guys.
So we talked a lot about defense. Tell me about this offense, putting up 40 points against a team who had shut out a ranked 5A team the week before. What happened? It seems like it was 7-7 forever, and then all of a sudden, it just and I'm gonna call it a blowout, but y'all just took off.
Well, in two things. One, the 40-7, it did feel tighter than it was, and then in one respect, it could have been more open than it was. We went into half at 20-7. You talked about 7-7 for a while. We had a touchdown called back for a chop block and a touchdown called back for a hold. And we had some penalties that night, about half the number that we had the week before, so we cut them down. But on those two plays, our kids were, we come back video, they're legally blocking. And so you get two scores off. It could have been 34-7 at halftime, which really is a big gap in the first half. But on that first note, or that first point that I talked about, it did feel close. And even if it would have been 34-7, it felt close because they're so athletic, and you have to fight for everything you're getting. They didn't have a kid on their defense that wore a jersey over number 44. 3 of their running backs play on their D-line, and they are fast. And so they're as fast as team as we'll play the whole entire year. I thought up front, Paris might have been a little bit more physical, and in the back end, Paris make you pay if you throw the football against them. But team speed-wise and physicality, Henderson's really good at that. So I was proud that we managed to get over 400 yards again, score 40 points against a really tough opponent, and it didn't always feel pretty, but it's okay if it's not always pretty. It's like just get the job done, and I think our kids believe in that. They don't panic.
Yeah, well, you have a lot of experience.
I noticed that you had Grayson Taylor, KJ Hicks, and his guy Nick Martin all had touchdowns last week. Sergio Rodriguez had a couple of touchdowns. Do you feel that's the kids buying into the system and executing the plays that you guys are calling?
Yeah, and that, number one, they have to do that or they don't get to play, right? And then the second thing is they all earn that. I mean, they put their heart into it and they go full tilt. And so we play 2 and 3 deep at spots. Grayson Taylor he's a one of 5 receivers that gets to get in. That's his first catch in a varsity game, and it's a 42-yard touchdown pass that he received from Jalen Woodside, and that's Jalen's first pass he's ever thrown in a varsity game, and it's a touchdown.
Nice.
So that was a cool moment for those two guys and their parents.
Like that.
When
you make plays like that, you definitely got a chance to get in there the next week.
Yeah, and that's what they're fighting for, and they're showing, and they're both deserving of it because they prepare so hard. So it was cool to see that reward. KJ Hicks, super athlete, is the safety on defense, made 2 third-down tackles right before the sticks where it forces them to punt, and then comes over on offense as a speed back. And then Nick Martin just bulldozed his way into the end zone again. And this time probably drugged 4 or 5 people with him. It wasn't a clean hole. He uses that strength on defense and then comes over and gets rewarded on offense because, they all want to tote the ball at a time. And they're all unselfish enough to know that there's 3 of us at fullback, and so we're not going to get as many touches, but it's about the team. It's about the team. And if I get 3 or 4 carries, I'm going to make sure I'm doing something with them.
So would you be willing to step out there and say that the Hawks played full tilt and with heart and soul again this week?
We've got to this week. And if we don't, then we've got to regret and we've got to stone that we didn't the turnover. And if we win a game and we don't go full tilt, it's that's where it's not conditional on a win-loss. We would feel bad about the way we went through our process and executed. But the thing I do feel good about our kids is I do think they're going to throw their heart and soul into every day at practice, and they're going to go one speed, and that's full tilt. And I think that's what makes our program special, be it we win or lose a football game, those kids buying in like they do.
I'm a Nick Martin fan. And Coach Morris at the University of Arkansas, you need to offer this kid quick. Somebody's gonna get a great deal on Nick, man. He is just extreme athlete. I love watching him play football.
Yeah, and he's
super nice kid.
He's on the radar big time too. They talked about him yesterday, and they're really interested in Nick. They want to get Nick down to a game, and Nick's been to TCU. He was at the game at Texas last week, and so he's on everybody's radar, and it's going to happen this season.
Yeah.
And so Nick, it's like, do you worry about that? No. He has an offer already. Enjoy your football team. And Bruce says it as good as any of them. Everybody wants to talk about his time at BYU, and they'll say, Bruce, what are you looking forward to at BYU? And he'll say, I'm a Pleasant Grove Hawk right now, and that's what I'm focused on. And he gets that from a couple of our coaches. Coach Fincher does a good job telling them make sure they're always enjoying the moment that they're in, and then they can enjoy that later. But don't take things for granted and really embrace it and be thankful for these blessings that you have right now. And I think they do a good job of that.
Well, Coach, we appreciate your time. If you're watching, we will be live at the Pleasant Grove Pep Rally tomorrow, like 2:50-ish. We'll be covering it. We'll have pregame coverage at the game, halftime and postgame coverage. The halftime show will feature cheerleaders, band, drill team, all of that. We're excited to bring that to you. And best of luck this week.
Yeah, thank you. And we're, once again, I think everybody in our district, our community, extremely thankful for what y'all are doing for the athletes and making them feel big time. And I know our superintendent talked to me earlier about it this week, how thankful he is for it. And our principal gets fired up, and our kids and their parents do. So, I mean, what you guys are doing is unique for high school kids, and we don't take that for granted. We're blessed to have y'all. Thank you.
All right, Coach. We appreciate it. So we'll see you tomorrow live from PG Pep Rally.